Grand rising, grand arrival, grand return. Peace and blessings to the righteous and the repentant alike. I am Chief Sophia of the Americana Band of Indians, and this is our introduction to daylight astrology. Daylight astrology is the process of looking at the cycles that include the full moon, the new moon, and the full moon in the next sign to understand the complete cycle of energy and how you can incorporate the lower vibrations and the lower frequencies of energy into the upper frequencies of energy so that you can have basically a self-generating motor. So in this video, we're going to discuss the tarot spiral. So I call this the Divine Oracle Tarot Spiral. And this tarot spiral, of course, was inspired by Lord Asaran. He does have a YouTube channel, and you can go and check it out. But the cool thing about this tarot spiral is that it has been rectified to incorporate all of the timing tools necessary to predict energy based on tarot cards. Now, a lot of tarot readers do not interpret the energy properly because what they did in the traditional timing with the traditional timing tools for the tarot is that they inverted some of the energy. And so where you think you would be reading one kind of energy, you're actually reading the inverse of that energy. So I think it was initially done to help people to transmute the energy so that they wouldn't get stuck in some of the more difficult energy. But what has ended up happening is that people don't recognize the difference between a particular energy and its inverse. And now you have people who's doing like all kinds of tarot divination, and they're wondering why their timing, they can't time anything, and they're missing major pieces. A lot of people are channeling while they're doing tarot readings, and so that's why a lot of people are correct, but they would be more correct if they actually rectified the tarot cards with the proper placement on the astrological chart. So that's what we've done, and we've changed the positions of a few things, and I'll mention some of that briefly. I have another series on this where I go through each section of the tarot spiral and talk about the way the energy flows within each slice or each sign, each constellation, but I'm not going to do all of that. I just want to give you a basic understanding. So at the middle of the whole spiral is the emperor. The emperor is zero. The emperor is the creator. He is outside of space and time, meaning the emperor can show up wherever he needs to be, whenever he needs to be. There is no limitations you can put on the emperor. So the emperor cannot be inside the wheel. Same thing with the aces, the ace of coins, the ace of wands, the ace of cups, the ace of swords. These are the hands or the angels that stand before the emperor, the creator. Therefore, they have certain realms that they operate, but to say that they are bound to only those realms would be incorrect. Okay. That would be an incorrect way to read the energy. So it's, but they are assigned to a specific energy, but they're not bound to that energy. Everything on the outside of the wheel is not bound. Those things are the things that the angelic realm that comes from outside to the inside. Everything that's on the inside of the realms, the inside of the wheel, the inside the constellations is bound. Those things that shows up only when that energy is called in. And so again, if that's how the hierarchy works, it benefits negatively polarized magicians for diviners to improperly use this because, for example, if you pull a three of swords energy, which is an energy I'm very familiar with, and you think this three of swords is for some reason affiliated with Aries, because that's the inverse of the energy, then where you should be calling in three of wands energy, you'll be calling in three of swords energy. And so they can actually, and three of swords, if you don't know, is actually the self-deletion card. It is taking yourself out. And so from heartache, from heartbreak, from pain, deep psychological pain. And so if they have that energy assigned with Aries, then in Aries season, they can be telling you, hey, take yourself out. It's time for you to go. Like, they can use, or if people don't understand that it's bound to a certain time, which is Taurus season, not Taurus, Libra season, then they will, you will be saying, oh, this energy might be doing this, might be doing that, or whatever, but you don't understand, hey, it's really within this realm of this Libra energy. Or additionally, we have a Libra lunar cycle every single month. So whenever that Libra lunar cycle comes in, that energy can be called up. And so if you're trying to figure out, why do I feel this way? I don't know. It's because they're doing some kind of a moon magic to reel in this energy. And so by rectifying the chart and putting the energies in their proper place, you can clearly see how the energies work. Now, I've been working with this chart for about 2 years. I am 100% certain that the energy works like this. I have seen it over and over and over again. I have done dozens of consultations using this chart, using this energy to describe different things that are going on with people. It has been 100% accurate. The only inaccuracies have been with me understanding how the energy flows. I have had to really not demand the energy to work a certain way, but to just flow with the energy, to understand, okay, this is how the energy works. This is what's going on. And that is very, very different from how most readers, diviners, deal with energy. They want to command the energy, not on purpose, not in a, not in a way that is putting anybody down, because divining is very difficult. But they want to command the energy. They don't want to observe the energy. So I've spent 2+ years observing this energy to make sure that I'm seeing it correctly. And like I said, every consultation I've done with people regarding this energy has been accurate. The only thing that has been inaccurate is my understanding of the energy. But by now, I have a really good understanding of it. So, real quick, I'm going to talk about the major arcana. So the major arcana affiliated with Aries is the Fool. The Fool is the new beginning. So if Aries is the start of the zodiac, why wouldn't you put the Fool, which is a card of new beginnings, with the start of the zodiac? I need people to really think about this. Oh, and if you notice, the top half of the chart each only had, first of all, let me talk about this chart. I'm sorry. That's going to be another video, but I read my astrological charts clockwise instead of counterclockwise. And that is because we are moving forward. We're not moving backward. And when you read it counterclockwise, you're actually going backwards. And I don't know how to get the industry to change that, but I read mine clockwise. So the top half of the chart is what is above the surface. These are things that happen in the sunshine. And when you're out in the sunshine, like in the summer, you don't have as much energy you don't wear a bunch of clothes. Like if you're going out into the heat, the last thing you want to be wearing is a bunch of heavy clothes or a bunch of heavy energy. So the top half of the chart has light energy. The bottom half of the chart has heavier and heavier energy. In the Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius energy, there's 2 cards, and in the Saturn 1, which I call Capricorn, Saturn 2, which is Aquarius, and Pisces, which is Jupiter, they have 3 cards. And that's because you need that energetic push to get you into the start of the year. You want to have everything that you need in position so that you can start the new year. So let me go back to Aries. So that's the 4th card. So cards 1, 2, and 3 are in that last slice, and we'll talk about that when we come around. We're going to start with Aries. In Taurus, you have the Hierophant, and I think that's the same. In Gemini, you have the Lovers. In Cancer, you have the Chariot. In Leo, you have the Strength card, and in Virgo, you have the Hermit. Now, when you move into, like I said, underneath the surface, so these are things that happen on the inside. This is when the falling back comes, the death card, the little death card is in this slice, and then you'll start to basically be reborn. This is how you navigate that. So in the Libra slice, we have the Wheel of Fortune and then the Justice. In Scorpio, we have the Hangman and also the Death card. And in Sagittarius, we have Judgment, which is a different placement, and the Devil. So because how after you die you get judged. I'm sorry, some of this stuff just seems obvious to me, but after death you get judged. So why you would have judgment before you come back, that's not how it works. After you die, you get judged. And so that's why we have death and then judgment. So judgment is 14 in my spiral. So in the Capricorn slice, we have the Empress, we have the Tower, and we have the Star. Why? Because the devil impregnates the Empress. And she's pregnant. She's literally pregnant. And the Tower is a phallus, and the Star is that spark of life. Because this time, this winter solstice period, it's the mother's point. Because the summer solstice is the midheaven. That's the father's point. And the mother's point is going to be the womb. And the womb is going to be where the new life is sparked. So before the dead part happens, and then the new life is sparked. Like before, you're not going to give the mother, the great mother, some dead energy. Okay, you need to give her fresh, new, great energy, and that's what we have here on this chart. Okay, in the Aquarius slice is the Magician, and he has one arm up and one arm down. Why? Because he uses the moon and the sun, and he has all his tools on the table, and that's why you have the moon and the sun underneath him, because that's what he used to do his magic. As opposed to the Strength card, which is in Leo, she is just controlling the lion easily, and that it has a lot of mythology tied to it, and not the mythology that you're thinking of. And in the Pisces slice, you have the High Priestess, and the High Priestess comes with Temperance and the World card. And it has to be like this, because how are you, when you have new life, the first thing that comes is the mother. The mother has to be impregnated. And then it's going to be a boy or it's going to be a girl. And that's what you have here. You have the mother, you have the son, and the daughter. It's going to be one or the other. And then when you get into Aries, you'll find out whether it was a son or a daughter. And that's when you circle back around. You have your new beginning. So that's the outside. Now the inside is it's much easier to understand. So all the wands is the first quadrant. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Those are all wands cards. The difference in the way that, another difference that's important is the cycle of the pips. And this is something that I changed even from Lord Asaran, because every princess, which the page is a princess, is a female, every princess becomes a queen. Every knight becomes a king. And so the princess, but you don't become a queen of your own realm. You leave your family and go to another realm and become queen. Most of the time, you don't get to be queen by staying in your home village. So what do I mean? You have the Princess of Wands becomes the Queen of Cups. The Princess of Cups becomes the Queen of Swords, because the princess and the king are in the same square. So the king teaches the princess everything she needs to know before she goes to become the queen of another kingdom. That's how a proper family is supposed to work. And then the queen is always interfacing with the knights, because the mother teaches the son how to operate. So if the mother is teaching the son how to operate and the father is teaching the daughter how to operate, then you have a household, a family that is functional. Okay, a lot of people don't understand this energy because they don't understand functional families. They have lived in dysfunctional families. That's all they know is dysfunction. So this is an actual functional family. This is how it's supposed to work. If you read any of the stories, this is how it works. If a knight becomes an evil king is because his mother was an evil queen. Every time. And if a mother is an evil queen, 9 times out of 10, she had an evil king who taught her how to be an evil queen. This is how it works. Kanye West has a statement in one of his songs, an old song. Hater niggas marry hater bitches and have hater kids. That's dysfunctional. And that's exactly how most people read this energy. But the energy is not dysfunctional. So we have to see ourselves and the energy in these cards, and we also have to see that the things that we learned, the way that we learn them, are incorrect, and they have to be corrected. And so this is my contribution to correcting the record. So that's one thing. So it's queen, knight, king, and princess. The king and the princess are also in the cardinal prior to the cardinal point energy. So the first cardinal point is Cancer. So that queen has to have an immense amount of knowledge, and so the king is with the princess so that the queen has everything that she needs. And you'll also notice that the cardinal points are queens. And that's another thing. And then that's part of the way that the energy flows. The cardinal points are not kings, okay? It's queens. It's lots of female energy, making sure that things are done the right way. And it's not that kings don't have their place. I didn't say that. The king is responsible for making sure that the princess can be a effective queen. That is the king's primary role. They have to make sure the princesses are raised properly. So they absolutely have a role. 100%. And also learning how to interact and interface with their mothers. So the men have a very, very important role. And so this is not to at all in any way discount the men. But so Aries, Taurus, and Gemini all are wands energy. Cancer, Leo, and Virgo are all cups energy. Libra, Scorpio, and Capricorn are all swords energy. And Sagittarius are all swords energy. I'm sorry. Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces are all pentacles energy, coins energy. And so because this is in place in a cohesive manner, you can figure out where your money is supposed to come from. So a lot of this has been about hiding your resources, okay? Hiding the resources of the planet. The resources of the planet are gathered with Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. That not the financial resources are gathered during that period. They're secured during that period. Okay? Abundance in general is secured during Cancer, Leo, and Virgo season. That is when you lock in your overall abundance. And if you understand the cycle between Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, and Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, if you figure out how to live your life within those cycles, you will really figure out a lot. That is a huge thing that they've been trying to hide from us. Another part of this is the ability to loop from Leo back into Leo. To loop from Leo, I call it from golden age to golden age. That's another very, very important skill that you have to learn how to do within your own chart. So this makes it possible to personalize your own chart. This makes it possible to understand the energies that come in when everyone else is experiencing one thing and you're experiencing something else. You're tuned into the energy in a different way, and this is just one of the ways of interpreting this energy. I have found that this works for people who have never even seen a tarot card before, and people, because I will, they'll say, "Oh, I'm having this problem." I'm like, "Oh, let me see your chart." Look at your chart. Okay. You feel like this, and it's exactly what the card is. And I don't even tell them the card. I just be like, you might want to try, the inverse. That's when you use your transmutation. And we used to do transmutation very heavy on this channel, and I don't think people understand the energy enough to do transmutation. So we're gonna step back from that advanced level and just into the general basics of how the energy works to make sure people have a real understanding of this. And I just know that they don't. So what else can I say about this? There's the major points: the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the fall equinox, and the winter solstice are corner points for the energy. So the energy is really of one kind of thing is really harvested within that point. I wanted to say something about wands and swords. Wands are corrections. So when we come into Aries season, this is something that they also do. So the coins and cups season, they try to basically harvest our financial abundance and abundance in general. In wands and swords energy, that's when they try to harvest our spiritual energy, or relationship energy. That could be sexual energy or whatever. So when you get into Aries season, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini are all corrections. That's when because you were just born as a new baby, when you come through the spring equinox portal, you're supposed to make corrections to how you want your life. That's why you do your spring cleaning, your things that just kind of change course a little bit. The sun is out. You may start eating a little bit better. You may start exercising again, so on and so forth. Because Wands energy is corrective energy. Where you make your cuts, once you come into fall equinox, that's when you start making your cuts. Okay, I don't need this. Okay, I don't need that. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? That's also when for at least the northern hemisphere, that's when we start school, basically around fall equinox. So basically at that time, that's when you're supposed to say, okay, I need to cut out all the video games. I need to cut out all of the, how I've been eating that's not so good, and just all the summer eating. I got to cut all of the overindulging, all of that. I need to cut that back and focus in on my schoolwork and my education and what I'm trying to accomplish, because you have to be prepared for the pentacles to come. So it's literally set up to flow with our natural cycle. So that's another thing I really want to say. This does not go against any holiday structure, anything that we already do, especially as Americans. It literally ties right into it. And if you did nothing but follow the American calendar, you would be in alignment with this. And I know people are going to be upset about that, but it's the truth. If you followed American holidays as they are actually displayed, you will be in alignment with this energy. And that is why there's been such a push from various communities to get people to give up their holidays. And I have a saying: never let your enemy calculate your feast days. And this is why, because people who hate you are going to tell you don't celebrate any holidays, only do this, only do that. But your ancestors who love you set up a system within this American system for you to be successful. And I know people don't believe it. They're not going to like that. It's going to be very uncomfortable for some people to process. But like I said, if you look at any of these, I've been looking at these charts and doing these calculations for almost 3 years, and I will never calculate anything any other way, unless, I get some improvements. But it is so accurate that I'm often left speechless on how accurate certain things are. And if you go back and look at my old videos where I was doing the daily transmutation reports and stuff like that, it was so precise. It was so precise. Every day was like, oh my gosh, this is the energy. This is the energy. And it was right. And so, what's broke, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? The way that people are doing divining right now is broken. People are having to rely on channeling different entities and different energies way more than is necessary. If they were to convert to this tarot spiral, which is a rectified tarot spiral, rectified with the astrological chart, in this format where we move forward in time and not backward in time, they would find a lot more ease. They would not have to use their ancestors and these entities as much, and they would still be able to bring in just as much information, if not more. I can do a reading with one card. I could do a whole reading with one card. It's because of all the information you get. Like if you pull, for example, this Three of Swords, you can look in your chart and see what house your Libra is in. Then you would look at like where Libra is like right now, or when the next Libra lunation is. You could look at what other planets are in Libra, how they are interacting with your natal planets. I mean, there's a lot of information you can pull when you have a rectified chart. And so that's why I wanted to make this video and just present the rectified chart. Again, I have a series of videos that goes into a deep dive on each individual slice that I will link in the description. So shalom, peace, and blessings, and we'll see you in the next video.